Now, I believe everyone should have a well-designed machete in their outdoor rotation of tools. And the blade that we're looking at today, I have been testing for over a year now and have used extensively on multiple backpacking trips and camping adventures, as well as blade testing it here in the Blade Boot Camp. And we're looking today at the HOUGHTON designed, Tops manufactured Solidago machete. And you may be saying, well, that kind of has some Parang inspirations. And you would be close, but it actually takes its design from a fishing knife that came out of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And we are gonna have a blast today as we unpack what the capabilities of this tool are, its very unique characteristics and specs that we don't often see in other large machetes and choppers, especially coming out of the States. And I'm really looking forward to running it up compared to some more generic, traditional large choppers as well, giving us really good food for thought on if the Solidago machete really makes sense for us in our rotation or not. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. Let's dive in. Now, as you look at the Solidago, you may say, that has some familiar lines, and you wouldn't be wrong if you're into Tops knives and survival blades in general. HOUGHTON Outdoors and the founders, Nate and Aaron, are the designers of the Brush Wolf from Tops Knives. And what's so hilarious is my name is Aaron. My brother's name is Nate. I'm older. He's younger. Aaron, I've had the pleasure to meet in Florida. Got to know him. He took me on a backpacking adventure in the backwoods of Florida. And I have now been able to take him on several backpacking adventures here in the Rocky Mountains. And it's just funny, the correlations between him and his brother, me and my brother, he and I both being older, my younger brother Nate, his brother, younger brother Nate. It's just hilarious. It is just so cool to find people and meet people like this in the knife world and industry. And so having their roots in Michigan, in fact, one of their forefathers, I believe it's their great-great-grandpa, was one of the first explorers into the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And it just really cool history in that family. And the blade design was something that was used up there, and then they were able to actually find one of the originals in a museum because they are related to like the explorers up there and stuff. They were able to get their hands actually on one, you know, not touch it, but like see it and get it out of the case and get some specs so that they could then design this blade. So that's kind of the history behind it, which is super cool. Now, it's made out of 1095 steel. We're looking at a 10-inch blade overall with about 9.5 cutting edge. The first very cool attribute is this is 5/32. A lot of machetes we see that are made here in America often are pretty thick, like even 3/4 of, or excuse me, 3/4, 1/4 of an inch to 3/16. This being 5/32 means that even though it's 18 ounces, it's relatively light for its size and very quick and nimble in the hand. And because of the low grind and the stock thickness, gives excellent durability, but great slicing. This is a great slicing instrument for greenery. As one of the two, well, they both live in different points of the country. Aaron being in Florida and being, in jungle basically, and then his brother Nate being up in Michigan currently and dealing with the greenery up there in the summers. And with the high grind on the first edge right there, and because it's, Tops is 1095, can't go wrong with that. I mean, really bites in, guys. So regardless, what I have found, not only using it against greenery, but also against hardwood, this is going to bite in and take out massive chunks. And because of the trajectory of the blade, especially against greenery, you're going to get great velocity as you swing. And then if you pick the proper impact point, which is about 2/3 of the way down is what I found personally, or you pick the point here and then you just adjust your swing. So you decide which point, bam, it'll just eat out a chunk. And because it has that long blade, it allows you to get a lot of reach with that extra long handle that we're going to talk about ergonomically. And even though it has this very unique sweep, the pinpoint here and the point back here are direct symmetry, meaning that it just feels like an extension of your hand when you're swinging the blade and doing chopping motions. So even though it's a pretty thin blade, when it comes to chopping hardwood or soft greenery, I was really pleased with how it has performed in both categories. Now, you may be saying, well, how does that split? Well, yes, of course, a 1/4 inch thick, low saber grind blade would have split wood better, but because of how long it is, anything that you would normally be splitting and the way that it is contoured gives you a really good impact point right here and allows you to easily baton through the wood. Even my son, who loves, when we're doing camping and just doing fire pits here in the backyard, loves just splitting up all the wood for me. He loves using this knife to baton the wood because it's very easy for him as a younger person to span whatever piece of wood he's wanting, and then gives him plenty of spine to work with to pound through. And because the grind is a little lower, it helps with that. Now, finally, what about carving? How does the edge help if you were to use this as kind of a one tool option, or maybe you have a smaller blade, but you don't always want to use that? Well, I was easily able to control the blade for feather stick making, and because it's a thinner stock and good high grind right there, in the sense of the first edge, you know, it's not a very short grind. The saber is short, but I'm able to then make the feather sticks I need to without difficulty at all, bite into the wood. You know, a lot of large choppers, they're basically good at chopping and batoning, and that's it. The edge geometry on this is really well designed for the finer work when you need it. Now, one cool attribute that we don't always see from Tops manufactured blades is it does have an uncoated about 3-inch spine right here that is 90'd so that you can easily throw sparks with your fire steel, launching those, getting those going. So that's nice to see that you don't always get on coated blades, you know, that are made in 1095. But before we get back into it, I know it can be tough to organize and transport our valuable tools and equipment that are kind of on the larger scale, but thankfully, look what I just found here. It's my American-made decked polymer case. This thing is the 80-liter Minuteman. Check this out. Excellent latches that kick open. Has a nice grab handle. It is lockable right here. It is TSA approved. It has secondary hard points for extra locks right here. And when we open this bad boy up there, look at that. Perfect for the Solidago and larger tools like it, because it comes with foam backers that are also gridded so you can cut out and really, you know, stuff and organize. It has these slits so you can get dividers as well, so you can organize things that maybe aren't quite as long, but it's really set up this in tandem with the two other options that are available, both the Deco and half rack, and that's a 32-liter, and then they also have a 16-liter version as well, so that depending on what type of gear and how you want to organize, you can really have something that's transportable but very durable, dust and waterproof, you know, really set up to last, lockable. It's just really sick. And I appreciate Huckberry hooking me up with these, and they've started carrying the entire Deco series. So really stoked to be able to share that with you guys. I'm going to have a link in the description as well as popping up in the corner over to the Huckberry site so you can start exploring this entire series. And I also will have my exclusive 10% off promo code that you can apply towards your very first purchase, helping you save a little extra cash on these type of organizers. So I invite you guys to hop on over to Huckberry and explore the entire decked series and start getting organized when you're on the go. Look at that beautiful embossing, HOUGHTON era outdoors right there on this leather sheath. Now, the leather sheaths are actually handcrafted by the designers of this, Aaron and his brother Nate. He makes these in his shop in Florida out of super high quality leather. Now, these currently, I believe, and because I know this is like a year-old model, but I believe they come like this, kind of the natural stain. Right there, you're gonna get stitching all the way around, rivets all the way around, excellent. You get a belt loop right here to be able to put on your belt, and then you have a button snap that wraps around, really keeping it secure. But when it comes time to deploy, boom, because it's a drop top. So it fillets open 3/4 of the way, like a taco right there. And again, excellent density leather. And you just slide that sucker right in there, and then you wrap the strap. So for a large machete like this, which, let's get real, for probably most of us, we're gonna carry it on our pack, use it around camp, you know, and just kind of use this as a scabbard. But for those of you who trek with machetes and need to use it on your hip to clear, or you want to wear it as a sling, this is ideally set up for that. Now, the handle has 3 grip points, and if we're talking about a machete, ideally all 3 have to be well executed. Were they able to accomplish that with this machete? Well, let's find out. On the back end here, on this micarta handle scale, which is excellent, good contouring, Good shoulders, nice and machined. There's nice little kind of yellow-green liners in there that I believe are the same color as the HOUGHTON plant, if I remember, or the flower of it. And then kind of like a gray-green micarta. Now we have a lanyard hole with an exposed tang for pommeling. Is that going to cause a problem with that bird beak? Guess what? All right, absolutely not. Contours my hand, does not send any shock into my hand, regardless if I'm hitting hardwood, like I have here out west, or also keeps it intact and in your hand for long periods of time without putting any pressure points, and really gives a good lever and leverage for greenery. When we're full-time RVing, going through like Louisiana, Florida, the Carolinas, even up to Pennsylvania, all that greenery, you're gonna be swinging possibly for a long period of time if you're brush clearing, and it's gotta be comfortable without fatiguing your hand. I could hold it, it feels like an extension of my arm when it's held back here. I literally feel like I'm just using part of my hand and part of my arm to clear the foliage. So that is really well executed. So how about the secondary grip? Because it's such a large handle, long, relatively narrow, but not, it doesn't feel like I'm holding onto a pencil ever, with that nice sweep, really filling out the hand well. Boom, secondary lockup right here for light wrist flicks. If you're like delimbing a branch, whatever it is, and stuff's like the thickness of your pinky, or doing something else like that, and just holding the, when you're maybe batoning something, whatever, grips the hand very well. You're gonna get divot holes on either side for bow drills. Watched Aaron do that. I know both Aaron and his brother are pretty good, is my understanding, and from what I've seen him do when we were in Florida backpacking together, to do a bow drill fire. If I had to do a fire with a bow drill, we'd probably die and freeze to death. Just being real. I mean, I don't claim to have skills that I don't have here at the channel. And so if you like that, there are ambi bow drill holes on either side. Don't create any hot spots or anything like that. Now the final portion, we have a balance point that's about an inch up the blade on the actual cutting edge right there. So blade heavy, which is good, that's where the balance point is. So you're, the velocity of the swing. And this ginormous choil really makes up for that. So you're able to grip the tool, feels very comfortable. I can almost get 2 fingers in there, just boom, right up there. And then you can basically use those first 3 inches right there to do all your feather stick making, finer cutting, whatever you want to do. And now that jimping right there that I talked about earlier, well, that is because the handle is also designed to be used in the knife as a draw knife. So that gives you a little bit to grab onto, just giving you a little extra traction, and then draw the blade. I'm not a proficient knife, draw knife user, but it definitely felt comfortable when I was doing that, and I felt like I was in control of the tool, and I could do that without issue. Now I have 2 competitive options for us to think on in the 1095 Machete realm here in just a moment, but I do want to hit pricing and where you can pick these up. Now these are exclusive to the HOUGHTON Outdoors website. You're not gonna find this on the Tops website. You're not gonna find this at any other distributors. This is available only through their site currently. So I'll have a link popping up here as well as in the description box below if you wanna explore this, as well as other designs that Aaron and Nate are starting to create and manufacture together, which is really cool. Being a friend of his now for, I think, about 4 years, seeing their growth together, becoming a small manufacturer of knives, not just a designer of knives, has been super, super cool. So if you're kind of on the fence with this model, but maybe you want to check out other models that they may be producing, they're a small manufacturer that is hitting the ground running over on their site. So you can check that out. Now, this model is currently going for about $240. $240 is what the cost will be over on that site. So when we look at like handmade leather by Aaron, and then this design, and then the production value of a Tops 10-inch machete, that's pretty comparable to like what other Tops large blades are. As some food for thought there, here is the BECKER BK9, right? Excellent blade, love it, we'll never get rid of it. As it comes to you at like 130 bucks, nylon sheath, crappy plastic handles, you're gonna have to upgrade everything. So to get micarta, I just did it, and to get a Kydex sheath, base Kydex, it's gonna cost you 240 bucks. So to get this knife running exactly like this, it's exactly the same cost, 240 bucks. And the difference, now yes, this is more aggressive and more traditional. I understand this is kind of a unique parang, so if you're into parang kind of vibes, you're gonna really connect with it. This does not have the choil, and therefore, if you were to ask me to do any sort of finer work, I would way prefer to do it with the Solidago than I would with this, because of the massive choil and the balance point moving forward and the thinner stock than the 3/16 that's on the BECKER. Now, when it comes to like some splitting and different aspects like that, or piercing, and the BECKER obviously has a leg up. Then of course the ESEE JUNGLAS, $200 currently. Man, I remember when he was like 180, so that shows you just kind of the increase. Excellent, excellent Kydex sheath, zero complaints, and I'll have both the BECKER BK9 tricked out kind of like that if you want, and this ESEE if you want to take a look at those two in the description box below. 10 inches, so exactly the same, a little bit thicker. Excellent blade, excellent clearing tool, great high grind. I would say they're probably pretty comparable. The velocity is what's going to make this one different, and again, comes back to the choil, the balance point. And so if you like the idea of trying to use it as a small knife and a large knife, this is going to be way, if we were like, hey, let's go do a bundle of feather sticks, and you put these two in front of me, or the BECKER BK9, I would choose the Solidago because I can choke up on it and the thinner stock, versus this one and the BECKER BK9, I just can't do that. And it's not as easy to control the blade for the finer work. So that's where I sit with these blades. An excellent option with a very unique design if you're into that type of thing and you want more, I would say more fine work capability than some other, you know, classic designs that we know. That's what the Solidago brings to the table that others maybe do not. And I appreciate Aaron and his brother hooking me up with this model that I've had over a year of use with and has totally held up and really been an excellent performing larger blade. And I can't wait to see what other blades and designs they start manufacturing for themselves. So leave a comment below, guys. I'd love to know your thoughts, particularly if you own one of these. I know this is kind of like a limited currently. Hard to get your hands on. If you already own a Solidago, how has it been performing for you guys? Always appreciate your feedback. Check out the other videos, subscribe if you haven't, and until next time, always remember to stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.